Yeah, I'm pitching in today because Bala and Praveen they'll be joining, but they are traveling, so they'll be connecting over phone. So that's why. Okay, cool. Let's start off. I'll just start with a quick introduction. So yeah, people would have seen that I have joined today. I'm a member of Played AI Cup for close to 6 months since they have initially started. I'm Vijay and pitching in on behalf of Bala and Praveen as they are traveling. So just I'll give you a quick introduction on the community and then about Tarun, and then we can start off with the session. So for those of you who have joined in for the first time, so Applied AI Club is a community started by Bala and Praveen to help operators predominantly in the non-tech and non-coding background to learn about AI as well as and apply them in their daily workflows. So we consistently conduct weekly 1-hour sessions on various topics led by experts. And today is our 28th session, which we have been doing. All these sessions are completely free. We also have recently started study groups for our members to learn, build, and showcase various applications that they are building. And we had our second demo day session in the last week as well. So apart from this, we also have an active WhatsApp group where members discuss various AI topics, as well as help other builders to learn about different tools as well in their journey. So if you're interested, I've pasted the website link on the chat box, and you can sign up and we'll add you into the group as well. So coming to today's session, I'm really excited. We've all heard about AI agents. Some of us have even dabbled with it, experimented with it, but then how to get them working reliably? So that's what we'll be learning today. For this session, we have our very own Tarun, who has been with us in the Applied AI Club for a long time. So he'll be walking us through. He's the founder of Fint, an AI platform that solves finance and accounting problems. He has a decade of experience building products at Motive, Bounce, and Mu Sigma. Just before we start, to ensure we have a great experience, I would request you to raise your hand if you have any questions or post them in the chat, and then we will address these questions during natural breaks during the session or towards the end when we have a 10-minute dedicated Q&A session. So I'll not take more time now. Without further ado, Tarun, over to you.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Vijay. Thank you for the handover, and thank you everyone for joining on a Saturday morning. So I just quickly came up with some of the slides based on Bala's request. These are not polished, but these are based on my past experiences. What I felt like wasn't getting discussed on the internet, but things which can help you streamline some of these things is what I say. Also, I just want to add one caveat. It's an ever-evolving field, so things do change over time based on your use case and based on the modalities you are working on. So some of the topics might be relevant for you and some might not. Okay, and the content has been prepared for a very generic audience, so I've kept it very high level, but happy to dive deeper in some of these topics if required. Is what I will say. Okay, let me just present my screen. Yeah, let me know if my screen is visible to you guys.
Yeah, it's visible.
Yeah. Okay. What are ARDs? This is something I have been on some of the PRDs I've been working on. I've been starting to write a lot more about the agent than the PRDs, and it has started also becoming more technical because as a PM I was responsible for the outputs of the agent and how do I orchestrate them is what I'll say. And hence there was no better term than to call them as ARDs is what I'll say. So it's just a mix of a bit of TD plus of PRD kind of thing is what I'll say. Yeah, I think a bit before I jump more about the ARDs, a bit about myself. I think Vijay has already given it, but one thing I just want to call out that I know most of you folks are not finance guys, but in case if you have ever misheard or heard any of your folks talking about some of the symptoms mentioned on the screen, okay, feel free to connect us with us, and then we will solve your problems, is what I'll say. And your finance team will be very happy because you introduced us to us. Okay. Uh, got it. So let me get started. I think there are two sections I'll be covering. At the end of section one, I'll again give a pause to take some questions, and then at the end we'll have a longer Q&A. Okay. Uh, so I think this is a day in the life of a builder or a AI user. I think you must be every day feeling, if you're a good user, you must be having that emotional thing that, oh my god, these things are way too magical. And then there is another day where you feel like, oh, how bad can they go, kind of stuff. Okay, so you this is an experience you might be facing. Okay, or your users might be facing. Okay, and the I mean, this is a horrible experience, to be honest, because you don't want your users, I mean, the end users who are using your agents, don't want to this emotional swings to be done. I know it's very difficult to get rid of these swings, but as a PM, because you are responsible for the experience of your end user, I think you can figure out a way to reduce the swings, is what I say. Okay, and hence it's very critical that you have a holding on how your agents work and things, is what I say. Okay. So that's on the number one. But before I jump into a lot of detail, I would love to have a few questions. I wanted to run a poll. Let me see if you guys can join here and on the Slido thing and answer this question. Let me start this. It's a very simple question. I just maybe at the end of this session, after the you might start rethinking your answers. That's the whole objective of it. Okay. Let me share this too. Can you guys go and start polling? I'll give you 30 seconds. Um, okay, I think, okay, I'm seeing votes coming in. Mm-hmm. Let's see this was in the screen. Oh, wow. Okay, I didn't expect a tech savvy cohort today. Interesting. How many folks we have? Oh,
Around 41.
40. Okay, maybe another 15 seconds more. Interesting.
We're getting some on like Claude code and copy pasting code directly from GPT. So yeah, that's on the
Oh,
chat box.
oh wow. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, you must be a very heavy technical user. I know why some of those things work. I think at the end of session, you will start realizing why did you answer some of those things. But okay. Let me. This is great. I think you guys are seeing the result here. I think clearly the agentic IDs like Cursor, Windsurf, and ES codes are winning here. Uh, Surprised. I thought it will be the bold and lavables of the world, given your PMs and a lot of fun. Very native build, like not a hardcore engineers in the forum, is what I said. Okay. Let me ask a follow-up question here. I'll just pause this voting, and there is another follow-up on this. I want you to think, why did you end up selecting the two you had mentioned? This is very important because I'm hoping that at the end of this conversation you will change those reasons, is what I'm saying. And feel free to elaborate it also, is what I'll say. You can have multiple words if you want. Feel free to do those things. Okay, let me start presenting. I'll just wait for 5 more seconds. A lot of people are typing still. Right. Okay. Hmm. Okay, I think you're seeing the results. I think I'll close the call in another 10 seconds. I'm still seeing a few people typing.
This is super cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Clearly, two words are coming highlighted, getting really clearly. One is control and ease of use. Um, then there is flexibility, the third word. These are some good outputs, is what I'll say. So I'll just pause it and I'll go ahead. I think at the end of this interaction, maybe some of these wordings might change. Some will continue, but some of the wordings will continue to change. Is what my hope is. Okay, let me go back. Uh, okay, so okay, yeah. So let me get started quickly. So I think I've given you. I'll be not talking about evals today. I'll be not talking about user persona or problem identification. There are a lot of talks already happening on the YouTube and other things. What I felt like is that there are a lot of things happening between the journey of user persona and evals, which where I felt like I ended up spending a lot of time, but none of these things are getting discussed, is what I'll say. So the three key area highlights I want to discuss today is around agent tasks, control and context needed, and the last part is verification. Okay, so it's very important because literally the jobs to be done is something what your agents are going to do. So as a PM, if you're owning the definition of jobs to be done, you need to own the agent task definitions also, as well as what goes into that prompts, and because the outputs are equally dependent on what goes into the prompts window is what I say. And the verification process, evals are great, but at the end, once the agent is getting used by the end users, you will also spend time on verifying these outputs. This is something which is not getting discussed, and I felt like this needs to get highlighted, is what I'll say. Okay, so I'll start with the verification section first. Okay, and I feel it's the most important one. So this is a statement from one of the favorite thinker who has spoken in one of the recent podcasts. Okay, that AI today can be described as something as middle to middle phase, like it gets done with 80% of the work in the middle phase, but the in the initial phase and the final phase, humans still end up spending a lot of time. Okay, when I heard this, I literally felt like, yep, as a builder, I'm spending time to simplify some of these things. Is what I'm trying to simplify the planning stage and as well as the verification stage. Okay, so so the goal isn't just to build. Okay, it's also to make it very intuitive to execute things and have an easy trust layer, is what I say. Okay. So let's get started with the verification part of it. So most of you must be aware of the meter graph, and I'm sure as uh, the agents get longer in running the task, the verification will become more and more important. You don't want your agents to run for 2 hours, 3 hours, and at the end you feel like, hey, these outputs are useless, kind of stuff. Okay, and that is the one thing, and maybe uh, you might have on day one verifying all the outputs. Okay, but on day two you might stop verifying these things, but again, the user might come back on D15 and find that something is wrong, and you don't want him to feeling that these outputs are very bad and I'm having a very tough day in verifying these things. Okay, so so verification of the outputs is very critical. Okay, so this ensures that the accuracy and reliability is there. Okay, so it's as a builder's role that you think about these things, verification processes from day one. Like whenever you define the problem, whenever you define the task, okay, you have to start thinking, hey, how complex is the verification process? Okay, is it is it easy to verify? Is it complex to verify? What are time frames to some of these windows? Okay, for the feedback, like some feedbacks are very instantaneous, and some feedbacks are very long. After a while, you get it kind of stuff. Okay, and sometimes expertise is required. Like if it's a, let's say, Harvey agent, like a legal agent, okay, a common man might not understand some of these things, but a legal agent might have a legal person might require like a understand what the agent is speaking of and whether it is right or wrong. So you need to design workflows that reduce friction in this verification process, okay, and make it more accessible and efficient. So it depends on what your user persona is and what step of the journey he is doing the verification part. So that those things will be very critical. And these are some of the things which you need to think through and write in your ARDs is what I'll say. Okay. So what we'll be doing next is that I'll not be telling you exactly how you want to do it. I'll be showing you some of these few UI elements which people are using in the verification and post verification flow. Okay, and maybe you can start thinking, okay, how do I embed this into my agentic UI basis is what I say. Also, one controversial take I have is that people think that this should be engineering team's responsibility, or it should be the end. Like there is this understanding that who's going to take care of these things in the system kind of stuff. Okay, I personally think that because the agents are a replica of your users and their jobs to be done, a PM should have a role in this process. So you understand the domain expertise and you understand your user well. So you need to take care of these things also. Is what I say. Okay. Uh, so let me jump on to the next section. Okay. So these are a few modalities which you might be seeing day in day out. Okay. This is happening like the citations. Okay. Is one thing. The Claude code has where you can restrict certain things. Okay, this is a very low level uh, like validation or a verification of the process. The thinking is like another way of it. Think of it that you want to know how is the agent performing on that direction of the agent and other things. So these things validate which direction the LLM is going or your agent is going to. Okay, so these things are very important attributes to the UI thing, and then you need to think of it like whenever you think of the task, you need to think of it. There can be different various forms of it, is what I'll say. Okay, so the citations are a very simple one. Okay, in coding tools, you have tab. Like when you write these things, okay, they are predicting. Yeah, they are deep ML flows. I mean, they are machine learning predictions, but these things also validate that okay, whatever context I wanted for the end user at that moment is valid because he has pressed click on the tab. It means that I have a valid prediction, and these things are important for the agent too. Okay, the line diff is another good way of presenting things. Okay, now cursor is coming with background agents, and they are able to commit stuff some of these things. Okay, and there's production merges and other things happening also. So these are different form of validation and verification processes in the coding side. Okay, and there are a lot more nuances around this. I think you can. I think Granola has one very good part. I couldn't grab a screenshot here, but I saw that it, it refers you to the exact wordings that has been mentioned in the in very easily. You can go back to that exact wordings mentioned in that meeting recording is what I'll say. Okay. So this is one form of it, and if the modality changes, okay, the way of validation also changes. Okay, so if it's an image generation, Comfy UI works because it's a very complex and a long process, and you don't want to validate things at the end. You want to validate at each step, and you want a control on these things. Okay, so that's why the Comfy UI works very well for the image or the video side of elements kind of stuff. Okay, and for legal things like let's say document verification or finance and other things. Okay, maybe there was a recent GST notification. Maybe for people like you and me, the citation with just a PDF reference with GST notification might be easy. But for a finance guy or a legal guy, he might want that granular detail of understanding that where exactly was the text source being picked up from. It's like you need to go to that detail and you need to make it easy for him to find that exact thing. Okay. So that these are some of the modalities which you have to think about. Okay. This can vary from your business context, use case, and other things. Okay, but you need to start thinking about these things the moment you think of the task. Is what I say. Yeah. So it's just not about output, but it's about every interaction which you do in this journey. Is what I say. Okay. So this is the first layer of thing. Once the output comes out, you spend up time doing this. Okay. And if you see one of the things, maybe we didn't have a lot of vibe coders in the group, but we saw why Bolt and Lovable are having more user base than maybe Cursor and other things. Is that the verification part is so easy. Like you don't need to, if you want a website, you can visually see those things and ask the agent to do changes, and it's very easy for anyone to validate those things. And hence, you have a user persona. The cursor was supposed to be, VS Code was supposed to be only for developers, but you have new user personas coming and trying out these things because the verification process is way too simpler. Okay, and this is something I've been seeing in my conversations also. In when we presented some of these workflows to some of the senior leadership, they started saying that, hey, now XYZ person or other person can also do this part and get it done. So you might, my intended person or somebody else, but the end user might add, like you might end up adding a new persona also to your agentic flows, is what I think. Okay. So that's on the first step of it. Okay. But let's also think of one more thing. Okay. What happens is that this is, I think, the other keyword which has been discussed on the poll was control. Okay. I think this is Karapati has been talking about it, the autonomy part of it. Okay. So I'll also say it as control. Okay. So you have to figure out what level of control you have to give. Okay. Based on your use cases. So this is something again not getting discussed anywhere is what I saw. Okay. And I saw this as my users started using more and more tools. I had to figure out these things in my journey. Okay. So, for example, today, if you use cursor and there is an error, it reads the error itself and goes, fixes it, and goes to the next step of the code. Okay, so that is a level of control it has. Like you've given that, hey, if there is an error, you can just go ahead, fix it, and get back to me, kind of stuff. Okay, so you need to think of like what your user persona is, and then figure out like what level of control you want to give. Okay, so this is after the first output comes out. Okay, this also empowers the end user to feel like he's in control of that and that process. Okay, so it's very important to give that, and important to figure out uh, to simplify these things is what I'll say. Okay, uh, some of the control out elements which have been shown in some of these existing tools is what I'll say is this is once the output is out. Okay, so you will see that ChatGPT recently introduced branch here in each chat. Okay, it gives you an option to retry with a different model if you want. Okay, um, you can highlight, select a few things, and start asking follow-up questions. Okay, in Cursor you have an ability to select specific tools or specific things and retry or add these specific context to the LLM window is what I'll say. So these are very important things which you have to think through also. Like once you have the output out, you need to figure out how you can embed these things to make the user empowered about this thing. And I also saw in this is something I've seen in Granola. I didn't add this screenshot here, but sometimes the translations and summarizations change the wording, and hence they give you the exact wording options. Okay, and it highlights in very subtle way that it doesn't feel like to show that, hey, I've done a right interpretation or translation of these things. And this point has been discussed across multiple lines or multiple timelines is what I say. It shows that exact flow of thought, and how did it summarize those things across the discussion importantly. So that makes me feel empowered, and then if I want, I can select those original context and reword or re-summarize some of these things is what I say. Okay. Uh, then one other thing which I have started seeing is that as more and more users start using your agent, okay, they become from a simple one-time user to a repeat user. So once the repeat users uh, frequency goes up, the input modalities have to change. Okay, this is something which I have started seeing. They would love to have you can't always type things and make it happen. I think the voice screenshots or these are some of the easier ways to quickly capture some of these inputs and give this additional context to the agent that hey, to course correct them. Okay, so your thinking should be like how can I minimize friction here and add uh, enough tools so that the user can guide the AI effectively. What I say. It matters. It matters because the ease of interaction will ensure that the trust layer and control is there. Is what I'll say. Okay, so that's on the verification flow. Okay, before just to summarize uh, details. Okay, what you have to think of is whenever you come up with a problem and you have decided that you have to do ABC tasks using agent, uh, think of what complexity spectrum is the verification process is. Does it require deep domain expertise? And think from a user persona, can he is he the right person to verify certain things or not? Think of the feedback loops. Are they short or long? And then how do you want to get those feedback loops in the verification done? Post verification flow. Think how do you want to give the control, branch, retry, additional inputs. You need to think of these things in the journey before you even uh, go and build a product or have your users start using it. Is what I say. Yeah. So let me pause here for a few minutes. Any before I go to the next section, I would love to get some pulse or any questions you have here, kind of.
Hey, what was the granola thing you were mentioning?
So Granola gives you like what happens is sometimes in summarization you have the meaning or the context getting changed. Okay, so you want to find what is the exact wording your user has mentioned. So it gives you the different line items which get referred. Like these are the line items where the user spoke this, and hence I have summarized these points to the particular thing. I don't have a screenshot right now, but yeah, that was the feedback. Yeah,
Got it. Got it.
yeah.
So what's your key takeaway here? So I understand there are different interfaces where you can confirm, let's say, for example, in a Bolt or a Lovable, you have UI to essentially confirm whether things are working or not. And Cursor, maybe you can add an UI, otherwise, if you're good enough, you can confirm. Like, how should I think about this talk? Like, how should I?
Yeah. So once you have identified, let's say you want to automate the meeting summarization notes, you need to figure out, okay, who all do I need to share these notes with, and who can verify these things? Can and like does like for finance stuff which we are working on, okay, uh, if it is just about passing a PDF, it's simple. Anyone can verify the extracted output. But somebody from like a CA and all would love to understand, like, hey, why did you select this taxation rule or this GST percentage, this, and what was the basis for those things? Like, then you have to refer that, hey, this was the HSN code which was mentioned in the invoice, and hence I picked up this thing. Maybe in legal cases there was a GST rule change, so you want to, uh, as a business user, you might be just thinking, okay, a key takeaway for me is like, yeah, there was a business GST rule change, and just I have to take a 5% cut now instead of 12%. But from a CA point of view, what was the exact wordings which were mentioned in that reference? I would love to know those things. So the key thing is understand your user persona and then figure out what is this verification they will be doing, and then ensure that those tools are available to them. Kind of. If you don't do those things, it's very difficult for the adoption of your agent in the ecosystem is what I'll say.
Got it. No, I know that you were doing that. You were actually integrating with Tally or something to get those data and then pass it on. But how were you able to then get the what do you say the references to the CA and all that? Like,
Yeah, so that's you can figure out like the persona of the user. Okay, if I go here, the references. What I mean by here is so in my case, it's on the documents. If you see on the right, the grounding is very important for me. Like that is what I'll say. Okay, uh, where did this value come from? And then if it is something related to taxation, if I have it in memory or something, it's great. Or else if I have to refer something from the internet or of a PDF and other things, I have to refer that, hey, I've referred this PDF and this was a rule change which came through. And this is the exact paragraph which mentioned that rule change. Okay, so that is the level of verification, because if your LLM agent is connected to an economic output, okay, you will end up verifying all these things. Okay, you maybe on day one you will verify, on day two to day seven you might not verify, but again on day 10 you will come back and you will start verifying. And if the process of verification is very tough, people will not be happy with this tool or agent is what I think.
got it. Thanks, Tarun.
Yeah.
Okay, we have one question from Anshul and then Rahul and Hitesh.
Yeah. Do you verify 100% of the tasks for a critical flow that needs to be 100% accurate? You said. Yeah, so we use a combination of things, Anshul. Like we have at every step we have like a LLM judge, which helps us ensure that things are good. You also have evals. After which, what we do is that we have created our interfaces in such a way that it's always human in the loop. So the human reviews these things and he decides whether he has to validate everything or he has to validate only a few things and then go ahead with it kind of stuff. Yeah. I hope
Rahul?
that's fine.
Hey Tarun, thanks for spending this time with us. I have two questions. First is just a very basic thing. What is the purpose of ARD? Is it like a PRD, just the way a PRD has a high level spec of a product? Is it something similar to an agent? And the second is, in which stage of building the product is this ARD particularly useful?
Yeah. So see, the PRD, I mean, it's ARD is more like because you are doing a subset of a task of your user. Okay, you need to own the agent aspects also, because the outputs are directly you're responsible for the end outcome of the user and the experience he has, and so you need to have a control on the agents and how they are managing and things kind of stuff. Okay, and hence this process can be iterative. Maybe you can start deploying agents and then you will get a feedback and other things. But if you start the moment you start decided, hey, this is a process which I have to automate and I'm going to use LLM agents, then you need to also start thinking of writing these things in the process is what I say. Okay, like how do I do my verification thing? Today they will do it, on maybe on day one they will do it, and in between they will not do it, but someday they will get back to you and say, hey, I'm not able to understand why this LLM is not working with it. So you need to have all these tools ready. So it's better to start thinking from day one. What this like how are you going to verify these things is what I say. That's the objective of the ARD is what I say.
I see. So wherever an agent is deployed, you will be requiring an ARD as well.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Right. Thank you.
Tarun, I have a question. So, how this ARD is not equivalent to evaluations, and what is the additional or what is the additional text context here?
Yeah, the second part of this is on the planning. I spent time on verification. So evals, what happens is evals, you definitely have business context and domain expertise, and you come up with that. Okay, so what happens is evals is, think of it, evals is for the internal team. Okay, but verification is for the end user. Okay, even after you deploy, okay, the end user will always verify these things. So I think the other day in the group, there was a deep research report shared. Okay, the discussion on the report was not about what the report had or something, but was about he wanted to see if somebody can catch the hallucination. Okay, so people, every output from the LLM is gonna get verified. Okay, and it's up to the builder now how simplify you make it, kind of. Okay, the more simplify you make it, the you might end up exposing other personas to use the tool. That is what the cursor and leverables did, because the verification of the outputs are so easy. You started having sales guys, marketing guys, product managers, everyone started vibe coding things, is what I'd say. Okay, so that is the reason you need to spend time on the thinking of how are you gonna output verify all these outputs, is what I'd say.
Okay, so if I summarize that, trust and curiosity, those are the two things we want to enable in those ARDs.
Yeah, and you need to start documenting this so that your engineering also starts thinking, "Ki, how do I incorporate these things into the system from day one?" Yeah.
Sure, sir. Thank you.
Just have one question from Hitesh, and then we can continue with the sessions.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I understand here is that evaluation is something that we we do it for, like, the engineers do it, and verification is something for the users, but they are both connected through the UI itself, right?
Yes.
It's the same, like two sides of the same coin.
Yeah. Correct. You can think of it as two sides of the same coin. But where the your the personas for evals are very clear. It's product PMs and engineers. But for the personas for verification can change a lot. I mean, think of Laravel or Cursor itself. Originally, it was intended for developers, but now you have other people also using it, kind of. So
Right.
you need to think of those personas and design those things as well.
Understood.
Yeah. Okay. Let's continue. Okay, so till now we spoke about the verification, which is once you get the outputs. Okay, and the second part where people will end up spending time is on the planning side of things. Okay, uh, I think this is a term which has been made famous by Andre Karapati again, context engineering, and then it blew up because the Shopify CEO mentioned that, yeah, this is a skill and other things. But to be honest, I felt like it's nothing but like planning for general people, jobs to be done from a product manager point of view, and context engineering from a engineering point of view. They all refer to the same stuff. Okay. Uh, Before I go into the planning section, okay, so what I'll be discussing here is that I'll be discussing a few best practices you can do for the agent planning. Okay, and then I'll give you just a high level overview of context engineering, because this is a huge topic and there's a lot of content outside there. But you need to start understanding what exactly these things mean and how you're going to orchestrate these things. Okay, so the first thing first, which I have figured that meet users where they are, kind of. Okay, this is a very important thing. If you uh, I mean, the consumer products are different, but for if you're doing agents in your internal business and other things, okay, you have to ensure that these agents are present wherever your people are already spending time. Email, Slack, okay, your CRMs or Salesforce tools and other things. You have to ensure that they are present there. Uh, Second is that it also makes you feel like they are your assistants, okay, so that a lot of work is getting done in async manner also. Okay, and third is that you can have some outer loop feedback eventually coming in, like maybe the sales agent assistant is designed for salespeople, but because you are in Slack, maybe the engineer or PMs might start adding additional context to it, and new persona might get unlocked for you guys, is what I see. Okay, so there's high stake feedback and other things, and all those things will come in. So the key takeaway here is that yeah, build your agents where they meet the users, is what I'll say. Okay, so that is a one thing which is very important. Uh, Whatever task you do. Okay. Second, very important principle which you have to include in your ART is also that you need to control the steps. Okay. This reason is to ensure you have reliable outputs and other things. Okay. Um, so you have to determine the different scenarios, what will happen in each of the scenarios. Okay. There was a talk by the Lindy founder on this session. He specified what the agents can do and other things. Okay, so can you also figure out pre pre-process some of these things before even the user asks some of the outputs they want? Okay, so async agents is what I'll say, and also the advantages of owning the flow is that you can figure out when to interrupt things, when to get the human process or human in the loop and understand some of these things. That is what I'll typically say. So the other thing which you also need is that if you own the control of the flow, you will know that what outputs are coming, easy to trace things, and then uh, especially the new tools like Slack and other things, sorry, not new tools, they are rate limiting stuff now. So you will be ready and prepared for some of those things if you have a control over the flow. Is what I'll say. Okay. So own the flow is the second principle. Is what I'll say. The third one, which you have to ensure that your agents are reliable, is to have break down all your tasks into small ones and keep it focused. Uh, there are 4 5 benefits I can think of. One is the context, the prompt windows. You don't have to worry about them because you can add very detailed context and get reliable outputs. Okay, and because you have clear responsibility for the agent, you can always call them back and make it happen. Is what I say. Testing also becomes easier, defining evals and other things, and it becomes easier for debug also, like from a verification point of view. It becomes easier is what I'll say. Okay, so think of it that you're literally defining a Jira description for one task at a time is what I say, and keep it so detailed and granular smaller so that it gives you better outputs is what I say. So this is the third principle is what I'll say. The fourth one is I know this is something for engineers. Yeah, you'll think tools are already a structured output. Okay, but a lot of PMs would I mean they didn't know about these things. Okay, so this is important because this helps you understand what are you feeding into that context window. Okay, so tools LLMs are giving out structured outputs, and then the PMs can understand hey, LLMs are good at deciding some of this uncertain stuff, so let them decide it. But this is the area where the deterministic code can execute and take actions also. So you can specify those things in your ARDs. Okay, and whatever results are outputs are coming back, you can always take those outputs, recombine them, and feed it to the next step as a context is what I say. So it becomes easier to if you start thinking of every tool having structured output, and I also say that product managers need to know what this output will look like. The reason is the moment you structure these things, if sometimes some things go wrong, you know that where did the LLM go wrong, or the tool didn't. The tool output might not have satisfied the condition, and hence you know that what went wrong and other things when people complain about your agency. What I'm saying. There's a lot of already discussion. I can already share the things around like when to use JSON function calling and other things. I think you can just search about them. Even OpenAI has a very good page on JSON versus function calling is what I'll say. So you can refer them. But this is important context because this will help you figure out what context to be put. I mean, what output from a structured to be put into the context window or not. Okay, so what do I mean by context? During the context, okay, this is the last step. Okay, which is so you have to think of you know you already have a system prompt or you have a user prompt. You will have tools and memory. So this is what I mean by context. Okay, and at scale, you will have a lot of these things coming into the picture. The traditional way has been that, I mean, if you see in the chat GPT, what happens is after a few conversations, you start losing the output becomes poisoned is what I say. Okay. The reason is your context window is narrowing down, losing all the relevant values of the information in the prompt, and hence the outputs are not up to the mark you want. Okay. So this goes back also to the step that you need to build small and focused agents, which will help you control on the context is what I say. Okay. So the context includes anything around tools, memory, prompts, is what I'll say. That these are the few things that you can control on is what I'll say. And why you should own the context window, because you have the user's understanding very well. You know what domain they come from. You know what context, what can be going into the context. Okay, like let's say I'm a finance guy and I'm following the GST rules. Okay, you should be able to understand hey, when should I select what information from the tools, okay, or from RAG. Let's say I know a person who doesn't add TDS to his, but I have to remind him that you need to add TDS to the invoice, kind of. That's a memory thing which you might have to include uh, when you get an invoice from an XYZ person or something, so that the LLM output looks like very reliable, like, oh yeah, the agent has detected these things, is what I say. Then if the steps are getting too longer, if there are too many interruptions and feedbacks coming from the human, you also need to figure out how I compress these things over a period of time. What is relevant and what is not relevant. Okay. One of the very simple example thing is the cursor. Okay, what when you get an error, you will see cursor today reads the error message, passes it back to the LLM, runs it, fixes it, and then it goes back to the context and deletes the error message because it is irrelevant for the next step of execution. Okay, so these are the things which you need to start thinking of. Okay, so the high level advantage if you start owning the context is that you have the you can have the highest information density. Okay, you can control safety things like what to be included. Let's say somebody is trying to hijack things and other things, or you want to filter out PIS stuff, emails, names, and other things. You want to remove it. You can remove those things before you inject, and uh, there you also get a flexibility that on the output is what I'll say. So, and because you're going to pay for every token, you can always optimize and save some cost is what I'll say. So this is the highest token efficiency on those things. Okay, so that's the reason why you need to own the context side of things. And there's a good talk on the AI engineering front on context engineering. So I'll not go through all those points, but there's one good cheat sheet which you can refer, which you have to ensure that uh, these things get discussed. That hey, how am I handling large context things? Okay, how am I gonna handle multi-step processes, things kind of stuff. So these are things which you need to start including your context details of your ERDs is what I say. Okay, I'll share this cheat sheet. It's not much is what I'm saying. Okay. So I mean, I'm just doing a quick time check. So keeping that in mind, so I'll just summarize. This has so there are a few things which uh, for building reliable agents is that ensure that you have your agents available wherever the user is already present. This also gives you advantage. You can run them async, and you don't want your output to be fast. You can run them slow, and you can do multi-step processes also. Control the flow so that you know that when you can get the human to interrupt it and where you can interrupt it. Okay. Keep them small and focused. This is the most important stuff. This with this what we have also started seeing is that you don't need GPT-5 kind of model everywhere. You can start using smaller models to get better outputs also. Okay, so that is something which we have started seeing. That once you break down this task, it becomes a lot easier. And yeah, tools are structured outputs, and you need to know what output it is giving, and you need to understand what information you will take from the output and put it back into the context window. Okay, yeah, so that's a key level. Right, is what I'll say to be good in the ARD. Yeah. Okay, I think we have last 5 questions.
Yeah, Tarun, so we are also seeing a lot of MCPs coming in, where instead of we developing a similar product, we can always use that.
Correct.
So, should we also, like as a product manager, are we responsible for exploring and identifying and shortlisting what other MCPs we can utilize instead of building in-house?
Yeah, I think you should. Uh, I mean, it depends. There are a lot of reasons. If you're thinking they are giving you reliable outputs and it's solving your exact use case, you should uh, try leveraging outside things. But if it is not, then you will have to build your own things. I mean, look at the structured outputs you are getting from the MCP. Is it something which is valuable, or is it missing some things or not? Okay, because if you're just simply appending those things back blindly, okay, to your context window. If you see here, you have something and you're just calling that tool. The MCP gives an output and you're just appending it. It might be a context poisoning also. There might be a lot of irrelevant stuff also. So you might have to figure out that, hey, yeah, I'm doing a very expensive call and there is output, but all the outputs relevant for my next action of the agent or not? So that is how that is where your decision point will be like, uh, do I need to build my own versus can I filter out things versus using something very generic offered? Okay. That the other thing is, I've also seen one problem with MCPs is that they slow you down. They slow the agent down. Like I've seen this with Slack, they don't respond very quickly sometimes, and then your agents get stuck in that a process of waiting for a call, and they might run out of a window of runtime, and they might stop. Okay, so you have to figure out those reliability issues also. Is what I'm saying. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Great. Okay. Yeah. So that's around the ARDs. I know it was. I'm hoping that it was useful. Let me know if you want to discuss a bit more detail some of these things. I've kept it very high level just because I got to know that all the audiences are there. It's not very specific. Yeah.
I have one small question. So, yeah, I was actually expecting a level of depth here, that
Okay.
like evaluation techniques, or something, or probably a live example where we can see how to exactly, let's say, build that, so that we can write a better PRD ourselves. So yeah.
For the evals, you're saying?
Yes, yes, yes. So that, because I think evals are directly connected with verification, and if
Yes.
we're able to probably write good evals, we'll be able to write good verification, or show good verification in the
Yeah.
UI as well.
Yeah. So I think my experience from on the ground has been that the best way to design the evals is sit with the domain expert, okay, and then understand what they were expecting the actual output, and figure out is LLM giving you those things or not, okay. It can be you can break down the evals from the outputs, like is the output uh, valuable to the user or not? Okay, then you can go domain wise, like are all the guardrails verified or not, satisfied or not, kind of stuff. Okay, and uh, you, for example, uh, one of the best simple eval which we do, I'll say, is that LLM as a judge. Okay,
Mhm.
I use another model completely to evaluate the structured output, and then rate whether I'll have a problem with the right context, that hey, is this GST compliant or not, something like that, and then figure out, give me a score on 100, where does this output lie, kind of stuff, and then figure out and append, like if I need to add additional information into that. So it depends on it's I know it's very vague. I think we'll have to sit together and discuss what exactly the issues are. But yeah, that is what we can figure out.
Understood. Yep, that was helpful. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Cool, Tarun. I think yeah, people are not having
Yeah.
any other questions. Maybe we can see, like, we'll think, Tarun, we can connect with Bala also and to see if we can add an example session also, something, if we can do
Sure.
that in the
Yeah.
future.
Yeah.
It will be
I'll
worthwhile.
figure out. Yeah. I'll share some of these things.
Sure.
Yeah.
Lots to learn. Thank you so much. I think we'll have to go back to this once again, especially now that we are going to have that live coding session also that we're having. So thank you so much, Tarun. This will be super helpful for us to think
Yeah,
through
yeah,
about all these.
yeah. Thank you, thanks a lot. And I think now maybe for the first question, cursor versus lovable versus stat, you might start thinking what prompted me to answer this tool versus that.
Yeah.
Right. Yes.
Cool.
Okay,
Thank you
so
so
great.
much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining the session. Have a great weekend.
Thanks a lot. Bye bye.